Is there a supreme being? The question of whether there is a supreme being has haunted humanity for millennia. From ancient mythologies to modern scientific inquiry, we have sought to understand the ultimate nature of existence, and central to that inquiry is the idea of a transcendent force, or being that governs the cosmos. This concept, often embodied in different forms across religions and philosophies, challenges us to reflect on the nature of reality, the origins of life, and the purpose of our own existence. But can we ever truly know if there is a supreme being? Or is this question destined to remain an enigma, one that tantalizes us with its profound implications? Let us embark on a philosophical journey to explore the idea of a supreme being, delving into both the spiritual and rational aspects of the debate, while maintaining the intrigue of what could be the greatest mystery of all: the idea of God across sense. In Christianity, God is described as omnipotent, omniscient, and omnipresent, responsible for the creation of the world and the moral order of the universe. In Hinduism, the concept of Brahman serves as the ultimate reality, a transcendent and immanent force that pervades everything. Even in less theistic traditions like Buddhism, while there may not be a God in the conventional sense, there is still an acknowledgement of a deeper underlying truth or order to existence, something beyond the material world that shapes the flow of life. This common thread across cultures and religions speaks to a shared human yearning to understand the world and our place in it. Could this universal belief in a supreme being be a reflection of something real? Or is it simply a projection of our hopes and fears, a way for us to cope with the vastness and uncertainty of life? The argument from design. The universe's complexity, one of the most compelling arguments for the existence of a supreme being, comes from the apparent design of the universe itself. When we observe the natural world, we see patterns of incredible complexity and beauty, from the intricate structure of DNA to the delicate balance of forces that govern the cosmos. Many argue that such order cannot arise by chance, suggesting that there must be an intelligent force behind it all. This line of reasoning, known as the teleological or design argument, has been championed by thinkers like William Paley, who famously compared the universe to a watch. Just as a watch implies the existence of a watchmaker, so too does the complexity of the universe imply the existence of a designer, a supreme being who set everything in motion. But is this argument truly convincing? Critics of the design argument point to the randomness and chaos inherent in nature. The universe, as vast and wondrous as it is, also contains destruction, disorder, and suffering. From natural disasters to genetic mutations, the world is not always as harmonious as it seems. Could a supreme being really be behind both the beauty and the brutality of existence? Modern science offers alternative explanations for the complexity of the universe, particularly through the theory of evolution and the laws of physics. Evolution explains how life can arise and develop without the need for a guiding hand, while the laws of physics describe how the universe can function according to fundamental principles without the need for divine intervention. Still, these explanations do not fully close the door on the possibility of a supreme being. They merely suggest that if such a being exists, its role may be far more subtle than we once imagined. The problem of evil. Can a supreme being be good? Another deep philosophical challenge to the existence of a supreme being, particularly in its traditional form, is the problem of evil. If there is an all-powerful, all-knowing, and benevolent being, why does evil exist? Why do we see suffering, pain, and injustice in the world? The ancient philosopher Epicurus framed this dilemma clearly. If God is willing to prevent evil but unable, then he is not omnipotent. If he is able but unwilling, then he is not benevolent. This paradox has troubled theologians and philosophers for centuries. Some argue that evil is necessary for free will to exist, that a world without suffering would be one where humans could not make meaningful choices. Others suggest that what we perceive as evil may be part of a larger divine plan that we cannot comprehend from our limited perspective. In more recent times, thinkers like Friedrich Nietzsche have taken a different approach. rejecting the idea of a benevolent supreme being altogether. For Nietzsche, the concept of God was a human invention, a way for people to impose meaning on a meaningless universe. In his famous proclamation that God is dead, Nietzsche argued that humanity must move beyond the need for divine authority and create its own values and purpose. This brings us to a profound existential question. Do we need a supreme being to find meaning in life? Can we, as human beings, create meaning for ourselves? Or does the absence of a higher power leave us adrift in a purposeless cosmos? The mystery of consciousness, a clue to the divine. While science has made great strides in explaining the physical universe, one of the deepest mysteries remains consciousness itself. How does matter give rise to subjective experience? What is the nature of the mind, and why do we perceive the world the way we do? Some philosophers and scientists have speculated that consciousness could be a clue to the existence of a supreme being. Perhaps the universe is not merely a collection of atoms and energy, but something more, a kind of grand consciousness or intelligence that permeates everything. This idea, known as panpsychism, suggests that consciousness is not limited to humans or animals but is a fundamental property of the universe itself. If consciousness is indeed a fundamental aspect of reality, could it point to the existence of a supreme being? In many religious traditions, God is described as not only the creator of the universe, but as an all-knowing, conscious force. Perhaps our own consciousness is a reflection, however dim, of this greater divine awareness. But here, too, we encounter uncertainty. The nature of consciousness remains one of the greatest unsolved mysteries of our time, and while it may hint at something beyond the material world, it also raises more questions than answers. Is consciousness the key to understanding the divine, or is it merely a product of evolution, shaped by the physical processes of the brain? The human need for transcendence. One thing is clear: whether or not a supreme being exists, humanity has an innate need to seek something greater than itself. From our earliest ancestors to the present day, we have looked to the stars, to nature, and to the depths of our own minds in search of answers. This search for transcendence seems to be an essential part of the human experience, driving us to explore, to question, and to create. Some philosophers argue that this need for transcendence is itself evidence of a supreme being. They suggest that our yearning for meaning, for connection with something beyond ourselves, points to the existence of a higher reality. After all, why would we have such a deep universal longing for the divine if there were no such thing? Others take a more psychological approach, suggesting that our belief in a supreme being is a response to the existential challenges of life. Faced with the uncertainty of death, the chaos of the world, and the limits of our understanding, we create the idea of a higher power to give us comfort and direction, the supreme being. A mystery without end. So is there a supreme being? After all the arguments, all the evidence, and all the reflection, we are left with a question that may never be fully answered. The existence of a supreme being touches on the deepest mysteries of life, the universe, and the human mind. It challenges us to consider our place in the cosmos, to confront the limits of our understanding, and to embrace the unknown. Perhaps the most intriguing aspect of this question is not whether a supreme being exists, but what it reveals about ourselves. Our search for the divine reflects our desire for meaning, our need for connection, and our wonder at the vastness of existence. Whether we find the answer in religion, philosophy, or science, the journey itself shapes who we are and how we see the world. In the end, the question of whether there is a supreme being may remain a mystery, a question that invites us to continue seeking, questioning, and exploring. It may be that the ultimate truth lies beyond our grasp, or perhaps, as some mystics suggest, the supreme being is not something we find through logic or evidence, but through an inner experience of transcendence. As we ponder this mystery, one thing is certain: the question of a supreme being is one that will continue to inspire a wonder and reflection for as long as humanity exists. It reminds us that, no matter how much we learn about the universe, there will always be deeper mysteries waiting to be uncovered, mysteries that stretch beyond the limits of our understanding and invite us to embrace the infinite possibilities of existence.